Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's Natha Perkins from Electra Astrology. I am continuing on with the sun sign teachings. And today we're diving into the gifts of Capricorn. And it's interesting because I recorded these originally back in 2024, at the end of 2024, and we have progressed an entire year. If you are listening to this now, you can apply what 2024 was like for you to what I'm about to say. And if you're listening to this in the future, look back at the cusp between 2024 and 2025 and get a sense of how everything had changed. Because last time when I recorded this Capricorn gifts episode, which is what we're doing today, I was talking about Capricorn still holding the planet Pluto. Pluto spent about 15 years traveling through the sign of Capricorn, and it was doing what Pluto does. It opens the curtains. It allows us to see what's back behind. It allows us to see what's underneath. Pluto has a way of helping us to see the truth. And we have seen a lot of truth. And when it comes to Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, we're looking at the truth of our structures and our governments. And that can be an external government, but more importantly, because these talks are always geared at helping you to see your own inner workings, your own personal psychology, we're looking at that governing body that lives within you. And we can have many versions of governing bodies. It can be anything from our inner critic, which is that voice that's telling us what we need to do better and what we've done wrong. Sometimes our inner critic rules us with guilt and shame. Or we could be looking at our higher self, which is a different kind of internal government. It's the government that says, keep going. You've got this. You can do this. You made a mistake. It's okay. You're going to learn from it. You're going to keep going. Another example can be morals, values, ethics. These things govern us. They give us our North Star and they keep us on track for what we want to be doing in our lives. And so this topic of Capricorn gifts, we're going to be looking at it through a different personal lens than we were last year, because we have seen several truths, many truths, perhaps hundreds of truths about ourselves and about where we have been and what we are wanting to do and create in our lives moving forward. So I want you to think about that as you're listening to this talk. Now, like I said, these are edited talks that I released on Star Narratives, my podcast platform, in 2024. I'm editing them, re-releasing them on YouTube so that they can be a standalone body of work. But if you like my style and you would like to work with me privately, you can find me at electraastrology.com. Or if you feel like you've been looking for a mentor or a teacher or a guide, electraastrology.com, because after all, Capricorn is one of the energies in the zodiac that can be a teacher or a wise one. And I often say when I'm doing readings, when people are having Saturn transits, that it might be time to find a teacher. It might be time to find somebody that can help lead the way for them in what they are trying to achieve next. So if you're listening and you're thinking, check out my website and check out my other shows on YouTube. I have the Path Forward, which are astrology forecasts for the week. And I have Astrology for Awakening, which are the teaching videos. That's what you're listening to now. So before we jump in, let's get started with taking a deep breath and coming into the present moment. And just tuning in with how your body feels right now. Capricorn is an earth sign, and the earth signs are related to the literal earth, but also to our physical bodies when we are in touch with this vehicle that we inhabit as we're rolling around this earthly planet. This is our land. This is the land that we inhabit. And so the more awareness that we have in our physical body, the better. The better we're able to integrate these teachings and to see our own internal Capricorn nature, our Capricorn habits, the parts of us that we need to improve when it comes to our Capricorn energy, and the parts of us that we may need to relax. So a deep breath, a tuning into your nervous system, and coming into the present moment, into the here and the now, and just noticing what is here in the room that you are in the space that you are in right now. So, for the first few months of these re-releases, it's going to be audio only, so you can listen podcast style. After a few months, though, I did start recording the video, so you'll get to see me again. But for now, let's jump into the Capricorn gifts, and they are really amazing gifts. And anytime that we're talking about an astrological archetype, yes, it's astrology, but on a deeper level, it is your human experience. This is simply a way to organize your own experience, history, psychology, goals, gifts, burdens, etc. So, as we're going through the month of Capricorn, this is where you get to really explore this archetype on a personal level, how it impacts you in your life, how your ambitions and your goals have flavored the direction, how your resilience and endurance have given you the tools to be able to go through periods of your life that are really difficult, how you have garnered wisdom from your experience. We're going to be talking about all of that as I progress. A lot of times when we talk about Capricorn, we get resistance. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, and Saturn is difficult energy. It's the energy that makes us work and makes us show up and do the thing. And a lot of times that Capricorn Saturn thing is boring, or it's hard, or it requires that we make mistakes, because it's through those mistakes that we learn. So we've talked about all of these facets of Capricorn and how sometimes it can feel like a governing force that's just telling us what to do. Sometimes it can feel like it's just a lot of hard work and no reward. Sometimes it can feel like such a downer coming from that Sagittarius, bright, effervescent, exploratory energy, because with Capricorn, that's where we have to actually do the work. We have to show up and make that name for ourselves. And nobody wants to make a name for themselves of being a liar or a cheat or flaky or lazy. No, that is not desirable from the standpoint of Capricorn. What Capricorn wants, and all of us have Capricorn in our chart, what we want is to be respected and to be renowned and have people come to us for our guidance and our wisdom. We want people to think, wow, that person is really successful. That person has made a lot of money or has a wonderful reputation. That person has put in the work. And we know that when it comes to things like education, things like our career, even things like being a good parent, being a good leader, we have to put in the work. We have to keep showing up even when we don't want to, even when we've made mistakes and we've screwed something up. We have to keep showing up. And that's really what we do with Capricorn. And that's why people have resistance to it, because we do have to do the things that we'd rather not do. We have to get up and go to work even when we're tired, even when there's snow on the road. We have to make the money to buy the groceries, even if we don't want to. But through doing that, that's how we really build character. It's how we stay in a sense of integrity. And integrity is so key when we're looking at Capricorn gifts. When you want to access the side of your own personal Capricorn archetype, what does it take? It takes discipline and it takes persistence, which means you get up when you're hungover. You go shovel the walk when it's snowing. You make the phone calls, you go through the mail, you make the to-do list, and you follow through. With Capricorn, we are looking at building that foundation. Capricorn is related to our public self. It is the part of us that must go out into the world in order to find success. What I find in a lot of readings with people is that they feel safer staying at home in that fourth house, in that Cancerian archetype, where they feel more sheltered or they feel too nervous about going out. Or if I'm doing a career reading, because Capricorn and Saturn are so connected to career, they say, well, I want to do something else. And then I say, well, what have you done so far to get yourself there? Do you have a website? Are you marketing? What are you doing? Do you have the education? And they say, well, no, It's more like I just have this feeling that I'm supposed to be doing something. And, we have to trust our feelings. That is a part of this whole process. We don't want to move towards success if we have an emotional aversion to it. If you're a shy and empathic person and you feel everybody's energy, but the idea of success for you is becoming a doctor and working in an emergency room, you're going to be out of emotional alignment. So you have to be in emotional alignment in order to move into this life's great work, this purpose, this career. But if you get too caught up in being shy, not feeling ready for it, wanting to hang back and be safe, then you're going to really struggle with this Capricorn archetype because it does take discipline. And it means that you have to get out and do the thing. You have to register for the class and then take it. You have to set up the website and then publish it. So a lot of us can get really hung up if we don't have the discipline, if we can't just keep showing up even when it's boring. So an example is like you start a class and you go to the first few days of it and it's just so boring and you just don't see how you're going to make it through. And so you quit. Well, you're never going to fulfill your Capricorn mission if you just quit at the moment that something gets hard. So, yes, you have to have an emotional alignment with something, but you also have to have a bit of a thick skin and an ability to just keep doing something, even if you don't want to do it, at least seeing it through the end so that you can get the experience. Because with Capricorn, the more experience we have, even if it felt like a failure, even if it turned out to be something that wasn't what you loved, at least you have that as a tool now and you have done the thing. So, of course, with that Cancerian emotional stuff, you want to remember that emotions a lot of times are just in one ear and out the other. You can feel really sad about something at 12:05, and by 12:15, you could be laughing because somebody told a great joke. So you don't want to trust your emotions too much. But you do want to have that overall knowing of, I would be too sensitive to do this career. For example, before you start on that long, hard trip up the mountain toward what you're looking to master. And some of that comes in with this sense of practicality. Like you have to be practical. You don't want to set goals for yourself to follow through on when you know you're not going to like it. So you have to be practical and grounded in the path that you're choosing to take. If you were scared of heights, you wouldn't want to go train to clean windows on a building because that wouldn't be practical. When we're talking about our ambitions and the things that we want to accomplish, we say, yes, you have to practice the things that you don't want to do. And it is good to get out of your comfort zone. And you want to set goals. Ideally, they are measurable goals so that you know if you have fulfilled them or not. With Capricorn, Capricorn is the mystical sea goat. So it is that goat that is like scrambling up the mountaintop and it is on these steep inclines and there is always a challenge. But there's this doorway that you can enter through where setting clear goals and clear intentions and then actually getting yourself there turns into this mystical spiritual experience. So think about if you are a hiker and you've ever been hiking. You're up on the mountain and it starts to rain. It starts to get really bad. You've run out of water. You've got a blister. Like you meet these challenges. And in your mind, you've got this whole emotional reaction to your challenges. And the whole experience just feels very scary and undesirable and not good. But you make it through. You finish the hike. You get back down to your car. And then what happens? You're able to get back and remember that experience as one that felt very spiritual in nature. You had to challenge yourself. You didn't know how you were going to get out of it, and you did it. You made it. You pulled together all of your tools, whether those were your emotional tools, your mental tools, your experiential tools, your spiritual tools. You had to pull them through to make your way to the finish line. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do with Capricorn. We talk about Capricorn as being your life's great work. So it is career, but it's not necessarily career. That thing that we go to every single day, that could be a career or it could just be a job. That spiritual experience, that mystical sea goat experience of really making an impact on the world, remaining in a firm sense of integrity, showing your resilience, showing your endurance, and that wisdom that comes from experience. That is the life's great work. And when we have that wisdom from our experience, that's when we become wise. That's when people trust us enough to allow us to lead them. And that's ultimately what we're doing with Capricorn, is that we are proving that we are our own authority, that we can trust ourselves, that we're going to do what we say we're going to do, and that we don't have to always look around for the outside government to say, are you going to save me? Mom, Dad, are you going to save me? Police officers, doctors, are you going to save me? Presidents, senators, are you going to save me? Because ultimately we know that the things outside of us are never going to really give us that sense of safety and security, that we have to find that inside. Sometimes that comes from showing up and doing things we don't want to do. It comes from setting goals and completing them. It comes from having the resilience to bounce back from disaster and problems. And then it comes from the wisdom, from trusting in a higher guidance to guide us into our human experiences in a way that we develop a sense of integrity for who we are and what our morals and our values are. And we follow through on that integrity every single time. We show up, we count on ourselves, and we do the thing. We do what needs to be done.